I'm gonna blow something right into y'all ears. Give you a little idea, no, a big idea of the reason why, and the concept of where the majority of my video theory, or it's just something that's already out there. Check out some of the film of what's going on in your surrounding areas. The documentary, I checked it out some months ago, The Coddling of American Minds. But this one is going to be a twist. Have we been coddled since baby boomer times, generational X, Y, and Z? Let's see. And was most of the coddling from the majority of our leaders and representatives and individuals that we voted for. So let's get this show started. Okay, let's get it started. And we're going to come up with, the few names I got in the title. So until then, check this out. Let me see. Fair use. Here we go. First one up. Let me see if I'm doing it right. Yep, I'm doing it right. Ooh, I thought I was mixed up the screen.
And for
let's back this up. Here's one person right here, Jasmine, Representative Crockett, the Texas girl. Let's see what she's gonna be cracking about, and let's give this fair use to the political brawl. His channel. Sometime I cheap in, but let's check it out.
Around illegal.
And this title is Shut Down Historical Jasmine Crockett in Front of the Entire World.
Immigration. Let's dive in.
I feel as if my colleagues from across the aisle have decided that they are going to make immigrants the boogeyman. It's insanity to me, but they also are showing compassion for victims, which they should, but they have no compassion for people that are contributing to making us great in this country. So, interestingly enough, I'm curious to know, Mr. Beer, if you know if immigrants contributed to these particular crimes. There was a mass shooting in Buffalo, New York that killed a number of African Americans as they were trying to shop for groceries. Was the defendant an immigrant in that case?
See, everybody did it. Victimhood once again. Moving the goalposts. All these sort of things. The coddling. Feel free to go over there and check that out. We pretty much know where she's going with this to bring up the immigrated part. Put whatever you want to put in the chat. It's some more that's coming. Let's get on the next one. The next one that's coming down, because see, to go in front of this, and then when the news get it, it will be chopped up so bad. And let's check out this one. This was about 5 months ago. Republican uproar about it. Stuff like that. We're going to hold for one more. With this woke thing right. See, look. And the coddling has something to do with the underlying tone of wokeness. Let's start right here. Do you know, should we start right here? Let's see, y'all. Because now we're going to look at what AOC has to say about some things. Check this out. And let's move it up. We should all have humility. Okay, let's see.
You've got an answer?
Right.
Don't listen to those people.
I agreed.
Do not listen to those people.
Co-signed.
So I want to say that we should all have the humility of saying this is an ongoing learning process. However, there is something to be said about it doesn't matter that he's lying. He's saying that I'm fighting for you. In all of this debate that people are talking about with this woke thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, It's because we care about trans people, and that's why.
And by the way, only Donald Trump cared about trans people because he was the one running $130 million worth of ads. The Harris campaign said nothing about this issue.
That's right. That's right. And listen, the ads, it's not to even deny the fact that these ads were effective in certain areas. What I think people are paying too much attention to is the first half of that ad, which says Kamala Harris is, or that said, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Everyone's focusing on that. They're not focusing on the second half of that ad, where he said, Donald Trump is for you.
Yeah.
And Democrats very often, in their messaging, they speak and in this,
not for you,
in terms and in concepts, and not in the second person. I care about you. And political races are not about one candidate versus another candidate. Too often it gets pigeonholed like that. It is a race to convince a person about who cares about you more.
Let me ask you this question.
See, and then fair use on that. See, that's the real show. She's no longer have that show, but you see exactly what is the narrative. Oh, it's right this way. I switched the screen around, I figured it out. That they're spinning. Do you know they really searching high and low? And this can be a pump fake. This may not be the next candidate coming up, because right now they seem to me to be investigators, investigating the waters to see what is the best solution to take in the next terms in election cycle that's coming. And then you see what he said there. So I guess they're going to use some of his strategy for the next 11 to win the hearts of the American people. Win the hearts of the American people. The mind. That's what they're basically trying to do. Win the mind. How can we coddle these emotional minds with a theory that whatever we say is law? So we need to be careful. We need to be writing down a lot of things, what they say, just to see how it look right on paper. Because they already started, and it ain't even the time they even start. This is the first time I've never seen what's going on right now these days. Let's go earlier up into this screen and see why did it lead to something like this. See?
You. This is not a place of judgment. I'm not gonna put your stuff on blast or anything like that or dunk on it. That's genuinely not the intent here. I actually want to learn from you. I want to hear what you were thinking, and I just want to hear from you.
Joining now is the aforementioned Democratic Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York. Okay, AOC, what'd they say?
I mean, there's a lot of different things that we saw. I think there's a lot of people. First of all, it's important to note that Democrats, oftentimes when we lose elections, we think that we lost people to Trump. And that is true in circumstances, but they don't look enough at the fact that we also lost people to the couch. We have two people that we're running against. So a lot of people say, this is why I voted for you and Trump. And some people say this is why I didn't vote or didn't vote top of the ticket.
Right. Skip the top of the ticket, which, by the way, there's been a lot of paranoia about the fact that Democrats are able to win statewide in some places while Kamala Harris lost. And I keep trying to tell people, there are voters who go in and either just vote the top. Trump voters who say, I just want Trump, I don't care about Republicans. And the reverse, who say, I'm not voting top of the ticket, but I'll vote everybody else.
Right. And I think we saw some of that happen as well. But when it comes to people who split their ticket, I think a lot of people cited several different things. One is there is universal frustration in this country. Much of it, I actually think, justified. That is raging at a political establishment that centers corporate interests, billionaires, and puts their needs ahead of the needs of working Americans.
We're moving the goalposts. That's
we know
that. You
that
never looked at our interests. That's what really jumped off. Never looked at none of the interests. And all you looked at was pure attacks on corporations that genuinely want to hire individuals, but you never looked at on how you're going to get the employment rate up, bring some of them jobs back, put out some of these tariffs. Or either them jobs can stay there, and then we can break their bank over there, and they can learn to save money over here and get tax breaks. But this is what a lot of people don't want individuals to hear. So let's get to the next video. The next video that is coming up, folks. This video that's coming up will explain why I'm going in this route. And let's check this out. Do y'all see what I mean? Like the jelly bean. Now we're going to get over here. Which one? Fair use. This one right here is going to be, it's from the John Stossel show. Oh, fair use. Here we go. I'm going to go like this, get like that, got like this, to get like that, to do this, to say that.
And then make them feel guilty.
These are college
This is what
students.
happened to Lucy Cross Williams at Stanford. Over the past 10 years, many colleges went mad. They charge students big bucks and then make them feel guilty. This is
So what I'm basically showing you, John Stossel, fair use, college students, many of college students from a different world, us, black folks, being used as, in most cases when things is not really legit, to be on the front line when it comes to certain narratives and social constructs and downfalls and upplays and all these things, man. And our social construct is really wrecked up. So let me speed it up so you can understand.
This is what happened to Lucy Cross Williams at Stanford.
I was anxious. I felt guilty constantly. I couldn't stop thinking about the whole white privilege thing.
Kim Katiti attended the Art Institutes of California.
I feel like I lost my life for like 6 years.
This new documentary, The Coddling of the American Mind, argues
So it's a lot of race baiting that we always see when we have all these race hustlers and all of these sharp tongues, these Al Sharptons, and then what we say out here in LA, Black Lives Matters, all of a sudden show up when black young men are used as bullet bags, practice bags, and for incarceration, but at the same time, whites are being murdered too. But we do have a whole lot of unreported homicides in our city, in our sector, and in the other sector. Everything ain't always reported. So catastrophizing and making things look like it always be reported, that's impossible.
that today more young people are anxious and depressed because adults at their schools brainwash them.
I was full of self-confidence when I was 18, but while I was in college, that disintegrated.
Kimmy was taught she was a victim.
I was introduced to ideas such as microaggressions.
Have you heard or even said any of these common microaggressions? Wow, you're so articulate. Can I touch your hair?
I began to see myself through the lens of Black and a woman. If I see someone like coming up with their dog, for example, and the dog's barking at me, I could interpret that as a racist microaggression on the part of both the dog and the dog walker. And I was like, the world's a lot darker than I thought it was. In order to kind of compete and get the best grades, I sort of showed how much of a victim I was in order to impress my professors.
She thought that was wrong, but she didn't push back.
I thought, I'm paying a lot, so they're definitely teaching me like the golden rules for life.
Those rules included censoring speech by conservatives like Ben Shapiro. Kimmy joined the mob trying to get Shapiro's posts blocked on Twitter. She kept sending complaints to Twitter censors.
I would sit down all the way through the night. Now try again, now try again.
At Stanford, Lucy was taught that Shapiro's ideas put Black, brown, trans, queer, Muslim students at risk.
My first thought was like, this is extreme, this is ridiculous. And then there was the, well, you're privileged, you're white.
She was taught that a good person
I didn't read too many books by white authors or listen to the wrong kind of music. I was really torn on rap because I didn't know if that was appropriation or appreciation.
to be accepted. She changed the way she spoke.
When I started to use the vocabulary of like marginalized, intersectional, hegemonic, blah, 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 people just kind of smiled a little bit more. And I started feeling like I was part of an in-group.
But a few years later, she concluded
These set of thought processes was really unhealthy and was making me miserable.
Administrators teach students that they're fragile and in constant danger and can
Right.
be permanently harmed by words. This is not a kind or compassionate thing to teach people.
Greg Lukianoff co-wrote The Coddling of the
Teaching people to
American
be
Mind.
snitches and things. Ain't this something? Just teaching people to be alert, be cautious, be catastrophize, be nervous. When you go outside, it's something that's finna go on. You must report it. Oh, you must report it. Watch what everybody's doing. Oh, shouldn't be doing that. And they're doing this to kids in kindergarten. They're doing this to kids in elementary, middle school, high school, colleges, and at work. We have to take tests regarding to this in the workspace. So, and here's another video that can allow you, feel free to go check out that one by John Stossel. And this one is a trip one too. There he is. Here we go.
I was full of self-confidence when I was 18, but while I was in college, that disintegrated.
Mental health among Gen Z is a travesty. Almost every other.
This is what is happening. They contradict ancient wisdom, modern psychology, and common sense.
Free speech is really how truth comes about. There's complexity in truth.
On campus, administrators teach students that they're fragile and can be permanently harmed by words.
I'd just gotten out of psych hospitals, and it felt like Stanford expected students to be more fragile than the hospitals expected of their patients.
I was scared of what the day was going to bring me.
If you think that something wrong has happened every time you feel a spike of emotion, this is setting up students for paranoia and misery.
You're teaching them to be weak.
That's like the exact opposite of empowerment.
Tribalism is human nature. That doesn't mean we have to live that way.
And a lot of people that's taking up courses, folks, taking up courses like, sociology, psychology, and this is what all of the colleges is plastering, and it's being looked at and upon, because I've been 18 years into the mental health field and 26 years of recovery. Now, in the recovery away from these offices and stuff, we're not speaking like this. We're speaking concrete, straight at you. Get a sponsor, sit down, meet me for an hour over here at McDonald's, the clubhouse meaning the Atlanta Club, the AA, the CA, somewhere, or at my home. So we can thump this textbook out, Alcoholics Anonymous, or whatever book that you're going through. But let's look at a little bit more of what's jumping off. Great untruth number 3, US versus them. See, us versus them.
Us versus them. Anytime you see the world in this binary, you skew your vision and you're unable to understand the other person.
Social media.
If you like something, it means something. If you don't like something, it also sends a certain signal.
Professors, social media, I would just follow their command. Any person who needed to be canceled, I was ready to do their bidding.
We're taking these amazing kids and teaching them that they're capable of much less than they actually are.
If you can teach yourself to see reality more clearly and break those thought cycles, you get relief.
Now, I'm thinking for myself.
I'm open to new ideas. I'm excited to...
And then some of them cut themselves. So that's a good thing. So just to end this show, we can't leave out the individual that wanted to do the marathon run, huh? Do y'all know who I'm talking about? The marathon run? This brother, the filibuster, Cory Booker, the filibuster, see? Here he comes with his madness. See, boy, I feel like staying up a little bit longer, but check this out.
I'm physically not in the best shape, but I am emotionally just feeling really fed right now and grateful, and kind of just really grateful for a lot of the people who lent support to the effort, and obviously the constituents, dozens and dozens of folks who gave me their stories, who gave me their hurt, their pain, their anger, their demands of me that I read, and their really humble offers that tell me what I can do. It was some very moving speeches, and then some of my colleagues came on the floor and just told very emotional stories too that really sourced me through the whole challenge.
It was obviously a very emotional experience. Just one more question on the physicality of it, which is you were a football star at Stanford University. You're 56 years old now, but you were a football star 20-something years ago. Was this more difficult than being a football star and taking some of those hits on the gridiron?
It was just different, my friend. It was just different. This was real, physical challenge. I think of a lot of strategic things to do in order to prepare for it. And then, and you're right, a lot of players lost hair too. So it was a challenge, it was a trial, but I really felt lifted by the energy as the Congress people started coming over. A lot of my CBC commercial Black Caucus friends. It just turned out to be, when the gallery started filling up, it was a lot of folks.
But let's see, did this interview really go anywhere? All right.
We're creating more debt, more deficit, giving tax cuts that are disproportionately going to go to the wealthiest Americans who don't need that tax cut.
See, look, they don't need that tax cut. It's going to go to the wealthiest Americans. And these people that are doing this is coddling us to believe that they're not rich. That's all I'm basically saying. They're coddling us to believe that they're not making no money. We're willing to pay our fair share, but yet when you look up their net worth, it just don't add up.
And then all the while gutting things like Medicaid. It just makes no sense. There's so many things going on by this president who is trashing our allies, bullying Canada, who is in many ways just violating judges' orders, trampling on our Article 1 power. So I just wanted to give a speech that said that this is not normal. We can't normalize it. And all of us have a responsibility to do something different, to take some risks, to be there for each other and try to ignite a larger movement in our country, the kind of movement that stopped Donald Trump from taking away the Affordable Care Act. And perhaps together, collectively, if we all speak out, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, the absurdity of some of this, perhaps we can make changes and change some policies and get some other Republicans to change their votes to stop bad things from happening.
Just to play a little bit more of your speech, you did acknowledge Senator Strom Thurmond and his record-breaking until today, 24-hour, 18-minute speech to oppose the Civil Rights Act. Let's roll a little bit about what you had to say about Senator Thurmond.
To hate him was wrong. And maybe my ego.
10. Chris Murphy, I guess, was number 10 in terms of the history books. I think Ted Cruz was maybe 6 or something like that, maybe 5. But in any case, did you think you were going to be able to achieve this? And how does it feel to know that you knocked him out of the history books?
From their lives, share their fears, their worries, their anxieties, their demands, their anger. And reading those letters gave me a lot of strength too. So I'm just grateful right now, despite the fact that I'm in rough shape.
He supposedly read some poetry.
You'll be okay. I'm not worried. You'll bounce back. But before you go, what do you say to a person out there who is inspired by what you did today, making history, who says, well, I'm not a...
And that's about it, because it's like, you can look at that whole amount of time that they spend doing that. Was a lot said? Think about it. Was a lot really said? Or was that the brag that they just want to click views off of the views he clicked of during the 25-hour speech? The filibuster. So that's what cracks me up. And then we got it in. And then he went on this. So fair use. Let's look at this part. One more to go. And this is the one with this lady.
Was something I didn't know if we could do, but it was something that was really
by your constituents.
They had to have him on the next show. He's probably in the same room with the same background. Or it's just via satellite. He's not even in their place.
Essentially challenging you to come up with something, to do something more than you thought you comfortably could do. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision-making process that you went through about deciding to do this? Obviously, you kind of kept it under wraps. You prepared with your staff, but nobody publicly knew you were going to do this until you started it.
No,
Personally, it's supposed to have been a surprise for us. But let's go up and see if they're going to get some more concrete matters of why he did it.
You did.
Well, I hope that we're all served to be ignition points for each other. My constituents, the letters, the calls, the demands were definitely an ignition point for me, but we've got to continue to ignite this movement. The only thing that stopped Donald Trump from tearing away the Affordable Care Act was the engagement of tens of thousands of Americans who didn't think they would become little lobbyists or activists or come down to the Capitol or protest in their communities. Rachel, you and I have known each other a long time, and I've been listening to your show more regularly. I'm so grateful you're doing this first 100 days. And I love how you start every show by showing what other Americans are doing. They're not waiting for us in Congress to lead. They've decided to take matters into their own hands and do something different. Those people were demanding to me to catch up, to try to do like they're doing. This is really about folks leading from their hearts and deciding I'm not going to just let business as usual go on in my life. And so I'm hoping that this is one part of a larger effort that tries to stop them from doing what they're about to do later this week or next week. I have not checked out for this 24 hours, but they're going to try to push through a bill that's going to gut $880 billion from Medicaid. They're going to try to put forward to a bill that's going to give tax cuts to the wealthiest of our country, disproportionately trillions of dollars, and all that, and they're going to still.
Now you see how fast he was speaking, right there, folks. I'm not talking about the speed and velocity that he's speaking, but in between all that speaking. Every time they want to attack Trump, it would be with some disastrous moving the goalposts, fear-basing, that see what happened? He's doing this. He's doing that. But nothing to the point of see what happened when for the last 4 years they never addressed the Lift Every Voice bill. The individuals share our complexion. They share, we the people. Dude, they share some things. They never went down on the gas prices. And before they left office, the egg prices then went up. The natural gas prices then went up in some states, especially in our state, in Los Angeles. And then it went back down, and it never went back down to where it was originally at. So, and then a whole lot of roads haven't been fixed. The job market haven't improved. And the homelessness then went up from state to state. See, now, what I like about what Trump did, he wasn't trying to aim at the stuff that they didn't do. And that's what they don't see. So, man, don't see. He wasn't trying to, man. Thank y'all for showing up to the show. I'm going to try to do another part 2, and I'm going to have some other people up. Until then, thank y'all for showing up.